Although the bulk of our work with numbers won't start until chapter 3, there is a little bit of work we're going to have to do in terms of adding numbers, rounding numbers, percentages in chapter 2. So I just want to be sure that we're all on the same page. So the most important thing is to know that you should never round off during the calculations of a problem. If you have multiple steps in a problem, keep as long a decimal number as you have during every step. So I have a little example here. Like if somebody rounded early, let's say that you take the number 3.4, it would round to 3. And you have the number 5.4, it would round to 5. Well, if you rounded early, so you've got 3 plus 5, you're going to get 8. If you waited and took your 3.4, an unrounded number, added it to 5.4, an unrounded number, you're going to get 8.8. And that would round to 9. So had those numbers been in millions, you would have been 1 million off. So it's important not to round during steps. Also, don't keep rounding. I had a case where the person had the number 0.1049 and they rounded it to 0.105. That would be a correct rounding, but I don't know why. They rounded again and got 0.11. If you're going to have a 2-digit answer, it would be 0.10, not 0.11. So just round once at whatever place you were asked to round. So like on these following questions below, we're asked to round one place to the right of the decimal. So that means in each of these cases, I'm going to look one place to the right of the decimal and go one spot after that to decide if I should round up or not. So 15.22, it's just going to round to 15.2. You might actually want to pause and try to figure these out as we go along and check your answer. If I went down the next item to 7.48, I want to stop where the 4 is, but because the 8 is a 5 or bigger, I'm going to round that 4 up and get 7.5. For the problem below that, 1/3, when I need to round this to one place after the decimal, it doesn't have any decimal units yet. Some of you just have 1/3 memorized, that's great. Otherwise, I'd get out my calculator and hit 1 divided by 3 to get 0.3333 off the edge of my calculator. Now when I look at one place after the decimal, 0.3, and the place after that, which is also a 3, but not a 5 or larger, my first digit stays the same, and I'm just going to get 0.3 for my 1-digit rounded answer. Keep in mind it's okay if you had 0.3, if you want to use that lead 0, but do not answer 0.3 bar. You've probably learned that terminology or notation in other classes, and it might have been appropriate for them, but 0.3 indicates that it keeps going, and this should be a non-keep going number. Does that work? But you're asked to have one digit after the decimal, and by doing 3 bar, that means infinite numbers past the decimal, so it doesn't really follow the direction. Be careful on this next problem. When I go one place after the decimal, I'm at the 9. The first 9 doesn't tell me anything, but it's that second 9 that because it's a 5 or larger, I'm going to have to round up my 9. And what happens when you round that up? You're just going to get 207 even, because remember, it kind of turns into a 10. And so we carry the 1, if you want to use that phrase, and we end up with just 207. And of course, 207.0 would also be fine. None of these numbers that had more than 2 digits after the decimal don't get influenced by further numbers that are larger than the one you're looking at. When I stop at the one place after the decimal, which happens to be a 1, I'm looking at the 4. Yeah, there's a 7 over there, but I'm almost ignoring that whole part of it. It's only the 4 that made me decide not to round my 1 up. And then I have the same process with the 2/3. I go for the decimal version, and this time when I decide to round, I get 0.7, right? My first digit didn't tell me anything, but that second digit, because it's a 5 or larger, it happened to be a 6, that tells me to round my 6 up to a 7.